I found the one stat that proves that pretty much everybody in the United States is broke. The average car on the road right now is 14 and a half years old. That car is almost old enough to.
Welcome to Pegasus versus the World, where we take on challenges, comedy, trending topics, and some travel. City boy! City boy! All right, you guys. I wanted to check this out so you can show love to the creator on TikTok. Does this matter to me? Is the TikTok channel. So the title of this is the average car on the U.S. roads is now 14.5 years old. That's not people loving old cars. That's people too broke to replace them. I don't know about that. I don't know about that, if I'm being honest. I want to hear him out before I look. I drive. My car is a 2007, and yeah, I can afford a nicer new car. It's just a waste of money. Like, and maybe I'm the outlier because there is some truth to that. Most Americans aren't disciplined with their money, and we do have a what's called a consumer economy. So people aren't that disciplined and they just kind of wild out. But I've always been frugal. So my whole thing, I've always bought used cars that look really nice. And typically it's like a Honda or Toyota because they run forever. Like I had a Toyota run to 250,000 miles, or no, that was about my Honda Accord run for 250,000 miles. Then I sold it to my friend and then he drove it for who knows how long. So I'd always just buy things that have value. And I had a Range Rover at one time too. But I always had so I had the Range Rover to like stunt. And it was a little bit older because it was more cost effective. But I had the Honda Accord because it was always reliable. I knew I could count on it. So maybe he has a point. But for me, it's like I never loved my Honda Accord. Like, oh, I'm stunting. Like I loved the Range Rover, how I felt in it. But when it broke down and when stupid stuff would happen to it, I actually started to fall in love with the Honda Accord because it was reliable. It was always reliable. So I don't know where he's going to go with this exactly. But what I would say from lived experience is there was a point in my life where I started understanding that cars are a liability. It's a waste of money. They depreciate the moment you buy it off the lot. So I would always buy 10-year-old cars because the tags were so much cheaper. People paying all this money for tags and all this shit that you don't have to just buy a 10-year-old car that looks really nice. Boom, I go to like CarMax or like really do my research, do the Carfax jump off, and go get a 10-year-old car that's nice where people are like, yo, that's nice. You just have to, one that's going to run. So I'd always rock with Lexus, Toyota, Acura, Honda, right? And you can get some BS in there. I had a TL where the transmission went out and that was an L, but I didn't study the model enough to know that, oh, that was a thing. Their transmissions went out in this year of TLs at a certain point. But anyways, all I'm saying is I've been thrifty and I'm wondering if just people are just being thrifty because times are a little bit harder. Doesn't mean you're necessarily broke. And me personally, as I've matured and gotten older, I'm like, I don't need to stunt. Why would I want, a car? So when you're buying a used car, at the times I was buying cars, get a really nice used car for $5 to $10 to $15,000. I think that's still out there. Driving down the street, I saw this like Toyota, um, maybe it was a newer Corolla or something, but it looked pretty nice. And I was like, oh, and it was like 5,009, so $6,000. I just saw it the other day, and I'm just like, I don't know. I've seen how long Toyotas and Hondas run. This is starting to sound like a commercial for them, but I'm just like, why wouldn't you? Anyways, I always see in rich neighborhoods, rich people or like the higher middle class, they always have like when I'm driving down, it's always like, oh, a Prius, oh, a Subaru, oh, a Toyota. Like there's only certain neighborhoods and certain type of people I see in the BMWs and the Mercedes Benzes and all this. Like a lot of people who are like higher level middle class, when I'm driving through the neighborhood, they just have reliable cars. So I don't know. Let's see what he's talking about. He might have a point here, but we'll see. Does this matter to me as his channel? Go check him out on Black Pegasus. You could like, share, comment, subscribe. Link in the description to my other channels. Let's go.
I found the one stat that proves that pretty much everybody in the United States is broke. The average car on the road right now is 14 and a half years old. That car is almost old enough to drive itself to the junkyard because that's where it fucking belongs. This isn't some quirk where people want to drive their fucking 2010 Nissan Sentra forever. They have to drive that POS because a new car is 50 fucking grand. And whenever you add in sky high interest rates, a lot of people can't afford it. I mean, who really can afford $1,000 car payment? So people are holding on. They are fixing what breaks and they are planning to drive their cars until the wheels literally fall off.
So, I mean, I don't think I just feel like there's an extreme here. Like buying a $50,000 car is ridiculous. You know, most of my friends who've bought cars where I told them you can't afford that, their car is $20,000 to $25,000. So to jump to $50,000, it's like, bro, you're in these nice trucks, you're in like these really nice luxury type of cars. Because, you know, typically you can get a solid car, like a new car, for 20 or 30 grand. So jumping 20K in the queue to 50 is bonkers. So I don't think people budget in America properly. I don't think they're disciplined. I don't think this is a sign that everyone's broke. But what I will say is a lot and almost, no, everyone, bro, everyone's feeling inflation except for people who have assets, right? Because all the money is going to flow to the people who own things and have assets and they can make money off those assets. Everyone else is in this peculiar predicament. I wouldn't say we're broke, but we're feeling the pain and the energy of this economy. Absolutely. So I do believe he's right, but just I don't know, just saying, "Hey, the average car is 14.5 year." I'm like, "Bro, I'd be like, Americans are getting smarter. Like, you know, why are you buying new cars? Like new cars are the worst investment you could make in your life." I learned that very young. Very young. Even I've never had a new car, you guys. I've never driven something off the lot. And you know how I learned this? Some of my best friends. There's some of my friends I grew up with that I lived with. They would always buy new cars. And I'd be like, what the are you doing, dog? You know, their whole life was dedicated to bills. And sometimes they kind of wonder why. And I was like, it's because you just kind of bought in too much. Like you literally have this year's vehicle. It was so expensive. The tags were so expensive. Then if you didn't pay it off, like he's saying, the interest. See, that thing is I bought used cars, and if I couldn't pay for it up front, it only took me like 3 or 4 months to pay it off. So I didn't pay any interest on cars. So I just maybe I'm just did things different. I was always super frugal because I had to, because I was a starving rap artist trying to make it with rap. So I had to stretch my money to be able to tour, to buy merchandise, to resell it, to record in the studio, etc. I couldn't put my money into a vehicle. And then my job was rapping. And so I had to put my money back into that to try to make it back to. So I didn't have time to just pay on a car or have some crazy ass rent. Like I had a roommate for a long time because of these things. So I don't know. I think people are hurting. I think the economy's bad. I don't think saying that the average car is 14 to 15 years old. My car is almost literally. I have a 2007 Lexus. So getting close to 20 years old. My shit drives amazing. I think I have like 140,000 miles on it. I'm just gonna drive. Like what? Why? It gets me to where I need to go. It never breaks down. It's a good car. It's reliable. It works. I'm a father. My kids wreck this out of my car. Like I don't want to drive my kids to their practice in a Range Rover and them mess up my leather seats or throw up on the floor or leave their toys and their trinkets and dirty diapers getting changed in the trunk. Like I'm good. I'm good. I'll just push my Lexus until, the time is right. I've always wanted like a Lambo or something crazy. But like I said, my dream car, I got one of my dream cars in my life, and it turned out it was a nightmare. I bought a Range Rover. It wasn't brand new. I think it was about 8 years old, maybe 10. I forget when I bought it. But the body style was the same of the newest one. So everywhere I went, I got that look. Like everyone's like, oh, da 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 da. But the thing I learned about Range Rover was that like a lot of things break down on those cars after about 85 to 100,000 miles, a lot of things, and it's way more expensive than anything I've ever paid to get fixed. And back then I didn't have the money to fix it. So I was just like, oh, like I was literally just trying to keep up with the Joneses just to drive that car to shows. I just kept it parked and used my Honda for day to day. And I literally had a Range Rover just to stunt, just to show off per se. And it was cool. I really enjoyed it. It felt great. Everyone loved it. My wife, to this day, I remember the Range Rover. Like there's something about that luxury feeling. It feels good, but reliability, baby. That's where I go. Let's see what else he's saying. This is interesting. And again, I'm just giving minor pushback. The economy's effed. I'm not arguing for the economy at all. And I do think more people are broke than they were, 5, 6, 7 years ago. Absolutely. It's tough right now.
And they are planning to drive their cars until the wheels literally fall off because their budgets are tapped. For the average American, the dream of owning a new car is now like the dream of owning a home. It's fucking bad. Remember, this isn't normal. This is what happens when capitalism starts to fail. The country is broken.
That's a lie. That's a straight up lie, you guys. He said, this is what happens when capitalism starts to fail. I want y'all to listen to it again and then tell me
Dream
where
of
I'm.
owning a home. It's fucking bad. Remember, this isn't normal. This is what happens when capitalism starts to fail. The country is broken.
The average car in the U.S., 14, average passenger car age now 14, nearly 13 years overall. Okay, I don't know what that has to do with the price of tea in China, but I'm going to tell you this. He said, this isn't normal. This is what you see when capitalism starts to fail. But wouldn't you say we failed? Like, we're not doing capitalism. Capitalism isn't bailing out banks. Capitalism isn't bailing out economies. Capitalism is like, oh, this is where the market, like, you're supposed to take the pain of the market and then it goes back to where it's supposed to go, right? Like, we're in all these huge bubbles everywhere, right? Come on. Like, how many buyouts and like, bro, that he's, am I tripping? Am I seeing or hearing this incorrectly? He said this is when capitalism fails, but we're currently not using capitalism, not true capitalism, bailing companies out too big. So the too big to fail policy is not true capitalism. That's not capitalism. Capitalism is free markets competing. If you got bailed out, that means you got a participation trophy to stay in the game. That's not capitalism. That means the people who got bailed out lost and they need to take their position as losers, and whoever takes the L, a part of that takes a L. That's just what it is. Bailing out companies, bailing out banks, bailing out all of these different things is not capitalism. So, printing money, shutting down economies during pandemic, you stopped capitalism. You stopped capitalism in its tracks in 2020. You said, nope, no longer doing this. And then we're going to print up a bunch of money. All of these things, from what I know, go against the concept of capitalism. Ain't no markets competing when you making fake money and just giving it to people to sit on their ass and stay home. That's what happened in 2020. Whether you believe it was the right call or not, that's what they did. So to say capitalism is failing is kind of absurd to me. So I don't know. Maybe I'm tripping. Y'all let me know. Everything's like this. It seems like this is happening in a lot of places. America has its issues. I'm not here to be a blind American like, oh, like I'm learning a lot of my dismay and fault, shortcomings with just being. I'm proud of being American. I'm not going to stop being proud, and I'm patriotic, but I'm also not going to be blind to the shortcomings that we are having here currently and things on the rise. So, anyways, let's see if anything else plays after this. Maybe he pops something else up on the screen. He said, this isn't normal. This is when capitalism begins to fail. And I'm not saying capitalism won't fail at some capacity, but I look at capitalism like sports, because the concept is supposed to be when free markets compete. And I understand the argument with capitalism because I believe at the top, once a free markets compete and someone wins, a lot of times the winner tries to rig it at the top, right? That's what we see with corporate greed, with pharmaceuticals, with the education industry, with the medical industry. And I'm typically talking about America, with private prisons, etc. And so capitalism gets a bad name because of, the greed at the top. That's what I believe. You guys let me know if I'm tripping. And that is unfortunate, right? That's the downside of like who wins in a capitalistic game, what they decide to do at the top, Um, but the concept of capitalism is like sports. I thought it's like you compete and there's a winner and a loser, and that's it. And I think that's the most natural, organic way to go about business and things of that nature. Because everything else is a wannabe utopia or this, that, and the other that you don't really see occur in nature at that level, like the socialism concepts and stuff like that. But hey, I ain't no damn economic expert. I'm just saying what I see. But we can't say capitalism is failing when we diverted from capitalism a long time ago when we first started bailing out all these companies talking about too big to fail. So it's hard for me to just sit here and be like, yeah, capitalism's failing. Um, we are not doing capitalism. We're bailing things out and creating bubbles. And now we're gonna face repercussions. Every action has a consequence. So let me know if I'm tripping, man. Like, share, comment, subscribe. I'll catch you on the next one.
City boy, city boy.